Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D-Real coming at you with another Be Real with D-Real, where Edutainment explains it. And apparently tonight I am going to be doing some explaining on some stuff I didn't think I needed to do any explaining on, because I thought the average Marvel Comics fan already knew this. But like I said, edutainment is what I do. So before I do it, let me do what I need to do so I can do what I want to do. Comment, like, subscribe, and share to this page right here. So when new material comes out, you get it. If you're digging what a brother's shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket, comment, like, subscribe, and share, because edutainment is what I do. Okay, you saw the title. Strongest metal in Marvel Comics. Really? I thought that this was a no-brainer, but if you need me to get really complex about it, I can. Whole conversation about the strongest metal, adamantium, vibranium, that's what we're talking about. Who are the two primary, most famous characters in all of Marvel Comics for adamantium and vibranium? Those two guys right there. You can't talk about adamantium without mentioning Wolverine, and you cannot talk about vibranium without mentioning T'Challa. So, which one is the strongest? Okay, that there is a vague question. It needs to be quantified, because between the two metals, we have 5 different types. Yeah, 5 different types. Okay. Let's break them all down real quick. Okay. Adamantium. You have 2 types. Well, I'm sorry, you have 3 types. I apologize. You have proto-adamantium, which is the strongest, the most unyielding. You have true adamantium, and then you have secondary adamantium. Now, like I said, this argument came up because they are getting ready to introduce adamantium in the MCU, and it's going to be harder than vibranium. My young homie Buckmaster, he was upset about that. Buckmeister was real upset about that. And he was going at anybody who had anything to say about it. But here's the thing. Even in comics, vibranium is not more unyielding than adamantium. Why? It's been shown on more than one occasion. If we go back to the late 80s, when the government asked Cap to stop being Captain America and they took away his shield, okay, he got 2 shields initially. There's this page where in his own magazine, Tony Stark gave him an adamantium shield when the government took his costume, or rather when he surrendered his costume and shield to the government. So he was the first superhero to wear, or masked adventurer, to wear the black and red costume, which later on became the U.S. agent's costume. Now, Cap and Iron Man had a falling out because this also took place during Armor Wars. So, because Tony was on an inexorable journey, he couldn't be stopped. And Cap wanted to do what's right. And so they ended up having a falling out. Cap didn't want to use his shield anymore. So let the jokes begin. He got a shield from T'Challa, delivered by some of T'Challa's techs. That is a vibranium shield. Let us be specific about what vibranium does. Vibranium absorbs vibrations, vibratory attacks that use kinetic energy directly. Question: does stabbing something or someone require kinetic energy? Yeah, but not as much as a blunt force attack. So while vibranium does not have a force field around it, if a stronger substance is brought against it, it's going to break, it's going to bend, it's going to shatter, depending on how strong that substance is. Okay? Enter adamantium. This guy right here, Dr. Myron McClain, in the comics, is responsible for creating Captain America's shield, which is made out of proto-adamantium and vibranium. That is why Captain America's shield is so unyielding to attacks, yet so able to reflect and refract and do all of these neat things that Captain America does with his shield. Okay, now vibranium we've seen on a lot of different occasions be damaged and destroyed. Okay, let's not forget when we're talking about adamantium, that frame right there. Remember that? Thor put a dent in Captain America's shield after that attack. Captain America's shield, did I just mention that it was made of proto-adamantium and vibranium? And Thor was still able to dent it. See the dent? Yeah. So which metal is stronger? Adamantium or vibranium? The answer is Uru. Surprise! Because even in the MCU, didn't Thanos break Captain America's vibranium shield? Right? So that was an edged weapon that Thanos was using. It depends on how you deploy a weapon, whether or not it does damage. In an armored attack, depending on where I hit, if I hit at a joint, I'm not going to do too much to armor. But if I hit him up with some blunt force trauma, that's a whole different story. And that works both ways. Blunt force melee attacks are different from edged and slashing attacks. You can't, you know what I'm saying? There's so much involved in that. And then we're talking about vibranium. We're talking about vibranium weaves. Okay, that's different than straight up vibranium. There's vibranium woven into T'Challa's uniform. T'Challa's uniform is not made of vibranium. So, if anything, T'Challa benefits more from the kinetic absorption and redirection than the armor of his uniform. Protects him better against blunt weapons than it does against edged weapons. So if Wolverine was fast enough to cut T'Challa, he could cut vibranium with adamantium because, again, a weave and not It's common vibranium, but common vibranium is woven into his uniform. His uniform isn't this impervious suit of vibranium. So while I love T'Challa as much as the next guy, y'all, adamantium, proto, and true are more unyielding, are more proof against attacks than vibranium. They can stand up to it better. Not saying vibranium's weak. And if the argument is about adamantium being stronger than vibranium, and I think that's what me and Buckmeister were talking about last night, he was saying, oh, if adamantium is stronger than vibranium, that's going to make T'Challa look weak. T'Challa and vibranium have both been around since 1966. Does T'Challa look weak? And why do I care what's going on in the MCU? Why am I focusing my attention on the MCU? Go do something or focus on something that ain't the MCU, because that's my attention, my focus isn't there anymore. So if that's where your focus is, that's okay, but I'm not doing that. Okay. Vibranium, like I said, you got common vibranium, you got anti-metal vibranium or savage land vibranium. The difference between the two, uh savage land vibranium, a little more volatile before it's refined than regular vibranium. And when used properly, it severs the molecular bonds between metals. Ooh, interesting here. Now, if antimetal is capable of severing the molecular bonds between metals, could it do that to adamantium? I'm so glad you asked. The answer would be yes, because that is the one thing proto adamantium and true adamantium, well, not true adamantium, but proto adamantium are vulnerable to molecular manipulation. On more than one occasion in the comics, Captain America's shield has been destroyed by some type of molecular manipulation. So, nothing's unyielding as far as we know. But if we talk about the strongest metal, the most unyielding metal, that would be Uru, gang. That would be Uru. Okay. In both the cinematic and the 616 universe, Uru is stronger. Uru is more unyielding. And I would argue maybe because of Thor's super strength is also why he was able to make a dent, but there was a dent made. Just like Wolverine wouldn't be able to stab Superman because he doesn't have enough strength to penetrate Superman's skin. It's not that adamantium wouldn't penetrate Superman's skin. Oh, but I know all the DC folks going to be coming at me in a minute. Nah, Wolverine can't. Okay. And two, sometimes we apply too much science and too much logic to situations like that. We're talking about something fictional and fanciful. Too much science puts the kibosh on that. So let's remember that when we talking about things like what's harder, what's softer, what's faster, what's slower, too much science being involved in it. You know, core is filled with scientific explanations about fanciful stuff. Do we need that many explanations about fanciful stuff? Sometimes the explanation should just be because. I hate when people say because he's Batman, but if you ain't got a better reason, because comics, because writers, that happens sometimes. And sometimes they contradict themselves. So you got to be real careful. The long story made short in this conversation, pick your battles. Pick your battles. Can't fight all of them. And stay focused on what you need to do, not what you feel you have to be doing. You know, that was a word in season for somebody. Does that make sense? Is anything I feel like I've been all over the place, but doesn't that make sense? While vibranium is the more versatile and can be used for more things, adamantium seems like it's more just weapon based. Probably because of the nature of its difficulty to manipulate. When has adamantium ever been used in a pacifistic way? When has adamantium ever been used in a functional way? It seems like all adamantium is ever used for is weapons. I hope I have probably not thoroughly. I know people gonna come and pick and poke holes, but I've given you the meat and potatoes of that situation. You feel me? Okay. If we talk about 1, 2, 3, Uru, adamantium, vibranium, common vibranium. And I don't know why they call it common vibranium because it's in Wakanda and they don't give it up for nothing. So vibranium. I don't know what else to tell y'all, man. Uru, adamantium, vibranium in terms of resistance to damage. That's it for now, y'all. But fret none. I'll be coming at you with another one of the other ones. And until I do, yeah, y'all be good. Be good to each other.